and most importantly, Real Madrid get off to 3 points and a 2-1 victory against a feisty Espanyol. So I want to welcome everybody in terms of from our YouTube team. Welcome very much to the Scoreline T family. As Ian Joy does, he welcomes you with open arms because we want to hear your comments, especially off the back of what was an impressive victory for Real Madrid. And I use the word impressive intentionally because no matter what they say, whether you play good football, bad football, the most important thing everyone's going to remember on a Saturday night, did you get the win? And they did. So I want now the deeper review, especially for our viewers at home now that's joining us. Were you happy with what you saw from Real Madrid?
Well, first and foremost, it's nice to see you wearing the Espanyol colours as you turn up on the show for our YouTube special.
He's just trying to get me in the comments.
By the way, feel free to mention what you think about the Espanyol colours here that Jaydee Dyer turned up with today. Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think about, obviously, the performance as well from Real Madrid. I actually was impressed in the end that they managed to get the job done. It's not always easy. Going to Espanyol, who are under new ownership, who are trying to do things right, who are trying to be much more competitive, they've made it a hell of a place to go play. It's difficult to create opportunities. But Real Madrid had 21 shots in this game. I mean, when you think of the talent that are on display, you would imagine that they could have a lot more shots on target. They had 8. They should have scored more goals. They had 2. But of course, they can always turn to the bench. And that's the biggest impact that you've got with these new signings coming through the door. I do think that, obviously, Espí's signing is hugely important because it means that they can turn to a youngster to rescue them because he has an impact. He's very good in the air, obviously proven that last season. He's obviously done it now already, scoring a late-minute winner in a game like this already. What that does for your confidence, Jaydee, what that does to integrate you into the locker room, integrate you to a bunch of legends who are out there. I know Vinicius Jr., obviously, looks a little bit different now, by the way, after the wild pre-season he's gone through. Kylian Mbappe looks a little bit different. He looks healthy, he looks happy, but not firing all cylinders just yet. Jude Bellingham looked like he was probably the best player out there and got himself an excellent goal. Should have scored a second one. It's nice to be able to go to the bench and be able to have the impact that they did. Look at the names on the bench, man.
I'm so glad that you brought up some of those individuals because when I saw this starting 11 go out, I thought a smile on my face. And for the first time, I looked at the bench and thought to myself, look, there's a lot of players that can make a lot of impact here as well. Yeah. Diamande is not someone we haven't even mentioned as of yet. Of course, you got his debut today. And you spoke about all of those players wanting to make sure that they can impact or give something for Jose Mourinho to think about in terms of adjusting or dismantling someone in terms of from these starting lineups. When you look at that bench, and this is a difficult question, when you look at that bench, who do you feel like will start to integrate themselves into Mourinho's thoughts as a starter, firstly?
Well, you had mentioned something as we were watching this game live before we came on air, that Cucurella may be the last time we see him on the bench, and probably right. I do think there's a possibility now that he's going to continue his building on his fitness after that World Cup victory and be able to keep himself in the lineup and probably never go back out the lineup. He's the type of guy that wants to play every single game. Every game. Understandably so. He does have a bit of battle by Carreras in that left full-back. I respect the youngster. He was okay, not terrible, but not good enough. And I think you can learn from Cucurella. So hopefully, training sessions and obviously games, you can learn and improve and make it a bit more of a competitive battle. Diamande is a 19-year-old impact player who cost an absolute fortune. But if you look at the impact he had off the bench, impressive. He's got pace, he's got ability, he'll go 1v1, and that's what I want to see from players who are coming off the bench. That impact immediately. To be able to turn the energy of the game, when it's not quite working out for you, who do you turn to? You look for those speedsters. Those players can make magic happen, and I know he's only 19 years old, but he's that type of guy. They've got class, obviously, in midfield. Camavinga, obviously, hugely important coming off the bench again, but I think you've always got to go back to the goal scorers, right? It's not just about midfielders and defenders shutting down the game, tactically approaching games. Sometimes, for Mourinho, it's about throwing everything at it and going for that goal. That's why Espí's at the club, by the way. Yep. So that they can play a different, a more direct approach game. He can score the ugly ones like he did today, 2-1 win.
I mean, there's no such thing as an ugly goal. That's what a good goal scorer once said to me once upon a time. But you spoke about something that I really want to allude upon, which is you can turn to the players that you know can grab the game, can adjust it themselves, what we used to call grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And I think about it, Jude Bellingham is probably someone I watched drag England through the World Cup, but now I'm watching him drag Real Madrid. So here's a better question. Is he the most complete midfielder in world football when you look at the excellence that he showcased in the World Cup and now especially replicating that form in a Real Madrid shirt from the beginning of the season?
Can I tell you that I think that he is just one of the most complete players that I've ever seen. What he does from midfield, he's also a goal scorer. What he does defensively, he's also a defensive midfielder. I mean, he can play multiple positions and consistently do it at a world-class level. I think last season's injury impact actually helped England this season. He managed to go out and have a hell of a World Cup, right? Managed to score a bunch of goals, push England further, drive England further into the knockout rounds and almost make it happen for the three lions. Didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to happen, but at the same time, he did a hell of a job.
I know that was coming up at some point.
I just love him. I think Jude Bellingham is potential Ballon d'Or winner, if that even means much to people out there. He is someone who I think is world class. Now, if I was to compare him to someone who's already represented Real Madrid, let's make a wild comparison. And for you out there on YouTube, Zinedine Zidane was not only a midfielder, he was a ball player. Give him the ball at his feet, he'd make magic happen, right? He always looked like he was a magician. He did things that you'd never seen before. Jude might not be that guy with the ball at his feet, but as far as a goal scorer goes, as far as someone who can score with every area of his game, with his feet, with his body, with his head, Jude Bellingham is the complete goal scorer from midfield going forward. So I would even go as far as to say is that Zizou didn't offer as much as what Jude Bellingham does going forward for goal scoring, for being the main man when it comes to winning a game and scoring the vital goal. It's a crazy comparison because obviously Zizou has this huge name and huge reputation at Real Madrid, and what he did do for the football club, not only as a player, as a manager, you can't even put into words. So it's kind of crazy for me to say it. But I want to tell you how good Jude Bellingham really is. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. He's phenomenal. In fact, he's world class. And in fact, he's not far away from being the best midfield player in the world right now.
I'd actually argue and say who's better than him, because the conversations we have about midfielders, and of course there's variations of what you want from a midfielder. There's your playmakers, there's your deep line playmakers, your Vitinhas who look beautiful, over 100 passes within a game. And then you've got your players that want to be breaking between the lines, i.e. your Declan Rice, that you can see the industry that they have. But when you have someone who's so complete, who wants to tackle, who wants to win balls, who wants to turn around and score goals, who wants to lay assists off, who wants to really drive his team with just not just his physicality, but his mentality, I do enter the conversation of saying, well, where do we start putting Jude? Because forever we're neglecting his confidence, forever we're neglecting his ability, forever we're neglecting his consistency. But he is the person that does show up consistently for his teams.
I do agree, but there's other midfielders who do a different job from Jude Bellingham. Let's take Rodri, for example, what he did do for Spain. All right, he pushed probably Pedri out of that Spanish starting 11, but also won a World Cup, and he's also won a Ballon d'Or, and he's also scored goals. He's that type of guy. So there's a different style of midfielder, but I don't think you can compare Jude to Rodri. I don't think you can compare Jude to Pedri. I just don't think you can do that. Jude is his own player, and he has a unique style, and it is one of a kind as far as I'm concerned.
Jose Mourinho on the touchlines again as the head coach for Real Madrid. I know he looks fixed-faced and, of course, quite stern, but he probably will be a little bit happy, reflecting upon the most important part. 3 points today in a hard-fought victory against Espanyol. But let's have a quick reflection on what he did in his first stint with Real Madrid. Of course, we remember the Copa del Rey title, which was the first one. Important to lift that trophy. It was the first time since 2007-2008 season. The Liga champions, we will, of course, remember the most goals scored in that competition, how fluid, how dangerous they were, and the Super Cup as well. Just added a little bit of extra spice on top of it. We saw 3 consecutive Champions League semi-final appearances, but we know why you've been brought in, because trophies and, of course, excellence has been synonymous with Real Madrid for a long while. So I'm talking about trophies and talking about excellence. There's only one person to bring in at this moment, my dog. How's it been? Happy New Year, I feel like saying to you. Phil Kitromilides, of course, a Spanish football expert, always got a tan, always got a smile. Phil, I could only imagine the excitement of getting back into a new La Liga season, but just give me the thoughts and reflections of what you saw from Real Madrid as they kickstart.
Yeah, happy new season, Jaydee. I don't know, happy new year. We say that in August, but definitely happy new season. I don't know how many conclusions we should draw from this game. Obviously, we have to draw some conclusions, and we know we have to be talking about this game, but we shouldn't be jumping to massive conclusions given that, 6 players made their debut. It's a transitional period for Real Madrid, new manager, new players, and I don't think there is too much we can draw immediately from this. There are a few things, though, that we should highlight. Firstly, they started pretty well this game. I think first 20 minutes they did well, and then they went and sort of played less and less and less. And in the second half, they weren't brilliant, but they found a way through. One thing that I was looking at, the goal that they scored, the first goal, which was from a corner, or it's from a free kick. The set-piece number of goals, I went and checked how many set-piece goals they scored in Jose Mourinho's first tenure. And in those 3 seasons, they averaged 19 goals from set-pieces every season in the league. The last season, they scored 26. The last 8 seasons, Real Madrid have averaged just over 11 goals per season from set pieces. So I think that is an aspect of play that Jose Mourinho is going to improve upon. I think it's something that he's already been working on. And you could see when that goal went in, he started shaking the hands of everyone else who was on the bench with him, with the analysts, with Sami Khedira, his assistant as well. It was things that they'd been working on, and they look seriously dangerous from set pieces. As you mentioned earlier, Jude Bellingham should have scored from one. They caused all sorts of problems. So that's a facet of play that we haven't really spoken about when speaking about Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid, but that's an improvement that I think we're going to see. The same problems are still there in terms of creation of play and build up in midfield, and Bernardo Silva was playing at the base of midfield and didn't necessarily change things too much from last season. But having someone like Espí to come off the bench, and as you were saying, this is exactly the kind of game he was brought for. And Espí we would do him a disservice to say that he is essentially just a big lump to stick in the box and get balls in there and he'll try and throw himself at them. He's actually a much better footballer than that. So a win for Real Madrid, some positives to take from it, some decent performances from certain players making their debuts, but obviously there is a large margin for improvement, I would say.
Phil, when you call games like you do across La Liga, you get the opportunity to obviously witness the reaction from coaches, you see the body language from coaches and players, you get to see the chemistry build between players and coaches. And I also recognise newcomers coming in, it takes time for that to gel. How far away do you think we are from seeing the final package Real Madrid? I mean, what differences do you think from the starting 11 to the players that came off the bench? Like, what do you think we are and where we are at right now from seeing the final product that Real Madrid will be looking like under Mourinho more consistently?
In terms of the starting 11, I don't think we're a million miles away from the team that we saw today. Obviously, Tchouaméni was injured and Cucurella is coming back from injury from the World Cup rather, and Diomande as well. But you look at this starting 11, and I would say Cucurella goes immediately in there. Probably a place for Tchouaméni, but otherwise, I think the starting 11 is going to be a little bit flexible. Obviously, there are certain players who are going to be there week in, week out, but I think it's going to be flexible. Mourinho has said himself, I like a small squad. He likes to work with 20 or 22 players. He doesn't want a really, really big squad. He wants a small squad, a close group, and to build that kind of chemistry. I thought, like I said, certain players who are making their debuts today for Real Madrid, and 6 players played for the first time for Real Madrid today in an official match. There had been some eyebrows raised when Ibrahima Konate was signed, but I thought he was solid enough today. Denzel Dumfries showed enough at right back as well, and obviously Espí scoring. So this is by no way the finished product for Real Madrid. I actually thought they looked a little bit leggy. They looked a little bit tired. You could maybe tell that Espanyol had already had one game of the season, and this was the first one for Real Madrid. And physically, they weren't at their best yet. They will get better physically, and they will have a better understanding as the weeks progress.
Phil, I'm so happy you talked about the physicality and maybe the potential fatigue for some of the players, because one player definitely kick-started his campaign exactly where he left off from the World Cup, and that was Jude Bellingham. Just talk about his excellence and his importance now in this Mourinho system and what you want to see.
Do you know how many days pre-season Jude Bellingham has had? He's had 10 days. 10 days pre-season. He came back to work on the 12th of August, and here he is scoring a goal, the first goal of the season for Real Madrid. I think you highlighted when you were discussing about his just all-round play. I thought he was phenomenal today. Genuinely, unbelievably impressive. All the more so when you think about him coming off the back of a World Cup in which England have gone very, very deep, which was physically, mentally, and emotionally very, very draining. He has come back looking extraordinarily sharp, but physically extremely strong as well. And he's going to be absolutely vital. And you just feel like, isn't he just a really Jose Mourinho style player? Someone who is 100% committed. And it's not just the commitment, but it's the companionship. He's a brilliant teammate. He tries to help people. He tries to improve the team. Everything he does is for the team. His effort is never less than 100%. He's just an incredible all-rounder, and I think his performance today on the first day of the season, having come back 10 days ago after a World Cup, it was supremely impressive. And I'm looking for him to kick on, because last season it wasn't great domestically from Jude. It has to be said, but after that World Cup, and yeah, he started in a really impressive fashion today.